story we haven't discussed. Michael Gove, obviously senior member of the government, and was seen out jogging. And this surprised people because he's supposed to be under 14-day self-isolation because one of his household had shown symptoms of the virus. Anyway, it then turns out that it was his daughter who'd shown the symptoms, and he had gone to Chief Medical Officer Chris Whitty, Michael Gove, and asked for permission to test his daughter so he could return to full government detail.
Something which every NHS worker in the country would like to be able to do.
So his daughter had symptoms on April the 5th. It now transpires within 24 hours. Mr Whitty had approved his request by Mr Gove for his daughter to be tested. By Wednesday, the NHS test had come back negative. Now, you know, they've taken a position that if you're a senior member of the government in the fight against this, you should be back at your workplace as soon as possible. You could argue he could do the work just as well from his home. And you could also argue, as I'm sure many people will this morning, that if you're a frontline NHS worker in exactly the same position, why are you not getting a test? You know, we had that story of the paramedics recently, didn't we, where one paramedic showed symptoms, so 4 of them in a flat had to self-isolate for 14 days, taking them off the front line. And they could have been the same thing.
It could be negative. And the difference between Michael Gove and an NHS worker is Michael Gove can carry on working from home.
Now, they're trying to play this down. I think it's quite a significant moment, this, because this cuts right to the heart of this whole testing thing, doesn't it, Hillary? Let's bring in Hillary on this, because this is what we want. We want this for everybody in the front line. You want the ability to test them immediately that you can, so that if actually they're negative, you can all get on with your lives and go back to work.
Yep.
If you can't have that test, you sit there for 2 weeks out of the game.
Yeah.
Those are the guys that should be getting the tests for their own safety and that of their patients. Absolutely. And anyone else can work at home, whether they're in government or not. They shouldn't be getting the tests. They should be self-isolating without the test. That's my view. On the PPE situation, I've had lots of texts and tweets here from staff saying they've got more than enough in some areas, which is great to hear.
But this was
obviously
my point,
it's a
Dr.
regional
Hillary,
thing.
about the business secretary, is that the more that this goes on, there's not enough PPE, unless the government is specific about where there are still gaps and where they are sending the PPE, we're going to be given the impression that there is a crisis with PPE across the NHS, whereas, as you say, a lot of trusts have the PPE they now need.
Which is really good news, because otherwise, you know, staff get demoralised thinking, you know, where is this stuff? Am I ever going to get it? Am I putting my life at risk? So it's good that some areas have got more than enough. It's not good that others haven't got enough.
No.
We've got an army of people delivering. We've got organisations doing their utmost to get it out there, and hopefully we'll all have it soon.
And we need it.
And the same with testing. Hopefully we'll have 100,000 tests a week. Which will make a big difference.
Well, that would be great. I'll see it. I'll believe it when I see it. The crucial thing here is it's not just NHS workers who need PPE. The bus drivers we talked about last week, the pharmacists need it, the supermarket workers need it, in my opinion, the amount of contact they're having with the public. Care home workers need this. There are so many other categories of people on the sort of secondary, they're seen as secondary. To me, they're on the front line. Everyone involved in any part of this, in trying to feed us or save our lives or care for the elderly or, you know, do the bins or whatever it may be, they are all part of this war effort.
Absolutely.
And they've all got to be protected. So this idea that somehow, OK, a few trusts have got enough, OK, well then let's get it to the care workers.